In this video, I am breaking down how I co-produced and engineered a new song with the one and only Casey Veggies. I'm going to share with you step by step how the song was written, mixed, produced, and even how I landed such an awesome session. Make sure you stick with me to the very end because each chapter is only going to get juicier and juicier with powerful information that'll help make your music stand out. So here is the full session right before us. I have the instrumental, I have G's vocal over here, some ad-libs, and then we have Casey's verse way up top here. Now, if I actually zoom in on Casey's take over here and drag out each pass, you'll notice that it only goes for each little subset or phrase. This is because the way Casey works is he'll either do one or two methods towards the songwriting. He'll either dive in and just kind of ad-lib a bunch of different ideas, focusing on getting a cadence and a rhythm that he likes, and then he'll fill in the lyrics after that. Now, in the situation for this song, he actually heard it straight away and he decided to work bar by bar, phrase by phrase, laying down exactly what he wanted to hear. Casey was very, very intentional with creating a shift in energy. So you can see that his first phrasing is pretty start, stop, start, stop, start, stop posture, right? And you can visualize that here in the waveform. And then once the energy in the instrumental actually changes, and you can see the bass activity happening a whole lot more over here, he starts to kind of pick it up and get a little bit more complex with his flow. So you can hear that. I'll play from the first 8 of his verse to the second 8 of his verse, and then you can see and experience how Casey very intentionally changes the complexity of his rhythm and his content in order to match the energy of the instrumental.
I got 100 flows, like girl, we can rap if you paying a fee.
Start and stop,
She gon' pop out of the shows,
giving some room and space.
If I ain't the president,
And then he's gonna pick it up as a drum set.
Yeah, I'ma go grind up and get it in. Boy, you ain't the boss, you the middleman. Said the head do was sweet as like cinnamon. I might land in the island like Gilligan.
Okay, cool. So now let's dive into how I actually mixed the vocals. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn off all of my processing here, and we're gonna listen to his vocal raw.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
So quickly just kind of going through, I'm using some basic EQ settings. Casey already has a very naturally high voice, so I'm not doing this 500 notch right here, but I am kind of tucking in and controlling that 200. So here's with the EQ on.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Also targeting that kind of frequency up here over at 7K. And then any kind of extra distortion resonance that I don't want, we're nuking that over here at 25. Then I'm using Arvox as my first layer of compression. That way my compressors down the line don't have to work as hard.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And a cool technique that I like to use with the Arvox is actually this gate. Now, it may not be metering too much, but when I bring it up to about halfway over here, it actually kind of ducks down his quieter moments and his silences, creating a sense of more rhythm. So here's with no gating whatsoever.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And then I raise it up to about halfway.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
It's immediately making his rhythmic bounce a whole lot better. Then I'm going to do some compression, and this is actually a little bit more heavy-handed compression than I typically do. But in order to kind of help match the intensity of the atmosphere of this record, I went a little bit harder on his compression.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
That faster attack is what's resulting in his vocal and his performance feel a little bit crunchier, a little bit more exaggerated. All right, cool. Now, moving pretty quickly, here's one of my favorite presets that I use for C6 is a pop vocal. But I have a special touch here, exclusive for Casey's vocal, where I am kind of controlling this 128 hertz frequency right here. The main reason I did that is actually for his vocal to sit better with the bass. This is a track that's very, very, very bass heavy. And if I solo his vocal against the bass,
yeah, I'ma go grind up and get it in. Boy, you ain't the boss, you the middleman.
when I turn off that notch,
yeah, I'ma go grind up and get it in. Boy, you ain't the boss, you the middleman.
it starts to kind of bleed with each other in a way that doesn't allow the vocal to stick out the way I want it to. When I have this on,
yeah, I'ma go grind up and get it in. Boy, you ain't the boss, you the middleman.
we have a nice immediately lift and his vocal starts to cut through the mix better. This is a really cool trick that is especially helpful when your instrumentals have a lot of low end and your vocals feel like they're getting lost in that mix down. The next layer I'll add on to is my CLA vocals, and all of these settings right here are to basically make the vocal come forward in the mix. You're going to hear a boost in volume, and one of my favorite things is using this stereo spread to make the vocal feel more spacious and just kind of really glue itself within the mix down. So this is definitely something that comes across a lot better when you hear it within the context of the mix. So here's it off.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And here's it on.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Totally brings it to the forefront of the mix down. Now, if you listen closely, there's a lot of nasally frequencies going on, and his S's are cutting through more than I'd really like to in the mix down. So I'm using the sibilance tool to kind of control those things.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And I absolutely love this plugin for controlling high mids because it does so in a way that most de-essers can't. So I tend to lean on this tool because it's a lot more transparent and doesn't really add that crunchiness that other de-essers do. The next one up, because I kind of had to pull back on the high mids, is I like to complement it with a nice boost at the top end, and I'm going to use that with the Pultec EQ.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
So a great trick for times that you are getting stuck with making your vocals feel bright without hurting your ears is to do a combination in this order. So where you use the sibilance plugin and you get a little bit heavy-handed with it.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
So right now his S's are getting too kind of crunchy, but then you complement that with a high-end boost over here, pushing up 10K with about 3 dB.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
The combination of those two plugins working with each other creates a high end that is nice and smooth and even, yet very transparent at the same time. Here's how it sounds with both of them off.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And here's it with them together.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Then it looks like I added a little bit more EQ in this vocal. Let's hear this one.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying?
Usually after the end of doing a couple rounds of different EQ, coupled with compression, there are going to be some bad frequencies that get... It's kind of the nature of mixing and mastering where you will try to make a move on one place to solve something, but it brings out another issue in another spot. And so at the very end of my vocal bus, I tend to do a little bit of mild vocal EQ. It looks like I'm cutting a little bit more of those resonances over here at 9K. And then another resonance over here at 2K. You know I hate that one. And then again, just kind of smoothing out his low mids that can kind of impact the way the vocal sits in the mixdown.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy,
Here's it off.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And here's it on.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Cool. And one of my favorite tools to use to help make vocals sit in the mix is this specific UAD API. And there's two reasons why I love this one. One, this one has this particular sound that's really warm and rounded edged. And the second reason is the power of this mix knob right here. So what I can do with it is get super heavy handed with my compression.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
But then bring down the mix knob.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying?
So then I'm able to blend his dry signal and his wet signal. And this is a powerful tool for making the vocal really sit down into the instrumental where I need it. So I'll go ahead and play it in the context.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Here's it off.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
You can hear his words bouncing up and down out of the mix. And I've already done a ton of compression. But then when I apply this guy,
man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
Everything is really smooth, but it's not overly compressed, and we're still preserving those dynamics. This will really come to life when I have it in the context of all the drums too. So here's it off.
Said the egg do was sweeter like cinnamon. I might land in the island like Gilligan.
And here's it on.
Said the egg do was sweeter like cinnamon. I might land in the island like Gilligan.
Love it. Absolutely love it. And then finally, again, you can hear his resonances are still a little bit strong. So I'm going to kind of end the process of his vocals with the Soothe plugin right here.
Said the egg do was sweeter like cinnamon. I might land in the island like Gilligan.
And the art with really getting the right settings for this plugin is to start super heavy-handed and then go all the way down so that you can find that in-between point, right? A lot of times people complain about the Soothe plugin because they feel like it's ruining their audio. But I really think the art to this plugin is just finding out a smooth way to get that perfect middle point. Because once you get it right with this guy, it sounds great. So what I do is I'll go too hard, totally destroying the vocal, and then of course not enough. And then quickly, so my ears don't have too much time to adjust, I'll go back and forth until I find that midpoint. So check this out.
I might land in the island like Gilligan. Lil' baby fine, she a sleeper. Business woman at night, she a eater. I said I make her my shit, I keep her. You know, we going up past it.
And right there, I'm happy with it, right? I'm not going to be able to ever perfectly remove every resonance, but we don't need to at the end of the day. We're just trying to figure out ways to make things in a song work with each other in a pleasing way. And really, at the end of the day, we want to be able to, for the listener to experience a song at all volumes, whether it's super loud or super quiet, and not feel anything uncomfortable on their ears. Now, here's a really, really special trick that I don't do on every record. What I do is create a duplicate channel, but at the end of the chain, I have a little altar boy and an instance of CLA vocals. This is going to make the vocal feel so cool. So I drop it down. Now I add a little altar boy, have my pitch all the way down a full octave, and my favorite parameter, the formant.
Man, I got a dozen of those.
We got that kind of squishy sound going on. And CLA vocals on chamber, quarter, and then a little bit of stereo, but my setting's halfway, so we're not getting too ambient.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And then I have that whole track playing in parallel against the raw original vocal as well. So check this out.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
And then if I turn off that altar boy track,
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me?
it just adds this really cool, subtle layer that helps boost the attitude of the record and push a little bit more on the low end. And this was so helpful too in the context of the mix when there is a ton of bass going on.
Man, I got a dozen of those. Like, boy, what you saying to me? I got 100 of flows. Like, girl, we can rap if you paying a fee.
All right, love it. So now let's go ahead and dive into also some little section where I got to co-produce on this record too. So we're gonna have to dive into Ableton though for that one. Okay, so basically here, the primary artist G hit me up and asked if we could add a third verse to the song. Now, being that it's drill, I know that that type of music really needs to land right between 1 minute and a minute and a half and 2 minutes. And by adding that third verse, we started to get into like that 2:15 zone. When I listened back to the record with the third verse, just copy paste like that, it felt too repetitive. And I know that people's energy is very, very, very sensitive to things kind of getting monotonous, especially when you have the same bum, 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 bum over and over and over again. So what I did is I sat back and listened to a couple different ideas. And then I realized, like, hey, there are a couple records here and there where they'll have the Jersey section and then switch to a drill drum progression. And that's exactly what we did. Check this out.
Yeah, the money is up, up, up. Yeah, what's happening? Went from the sewer to mansion, from ravioli to salmon. Now I'm just counting the cabbage. Really a certified dripper, a trim in the mirror, she find me attractive. Flooded my choker for real, my pinky a nugget, I'm happy and handsome.
Cool. So obviously what I did in order to kind of make this bed is I bounced the song down without the drums and then kind of made my own version of it. Right. And then I was able to kind of tack on my own things. Now, this was super cool because honestly, it only took like 15-20 minutes to make. And I got very fortunate because as soon as I went to splice, I found some awesome loops straight off the bat. Didn't have to do much programming. So the first thing that I found was this kind of rhythm over here. I was super in love with that, especially knowing that G is predominantly a international artist and has a lot of features and collaborations with Brazilian artists. So I was like, boom, we kind of need that little percussion loop in there. So drop that in there. That didn't really take it to where we needed to go though, until I found some drill drums. So to anyone out there trying to produce drill music, just look up this ADE_144 drums loop on Splice and you are in business. This will save you tons of time instead of having to produce these things from scratch. Because let's be honest, no one knows how to do every single genre from scratch. So when you can find the tools, use them. The next part though was this awesome drum fill I kind of found by accident. And that was a result from actually finding a full loop. The only thing I really liked though was that little... And so I took just that from the loop and kind of made it actually rush a little bit to kind of have this cool moment of a fill. So here's how it sounds in the context of the mix.
My choker for real, my pinky a nugget, I'm happy and handsome. Hold on, bitch.
Super fun, right? And that's kind of the joy of messing around with loops. You don't need to use every single bit. You can chop out whatever the heck you want and place it where you want it to be. The next part is the bass loop. So this was a little bit of a challenge. Here's basically the bass loop as it was raw when I found it. And this is really where your discipline as a producer has to step in. Like as cool as these little wow sounds and the wum bum 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 bum. What? As cool as those elements sounded in those as ear candies, they really interfered with the vocal a lot. So if I play it against this acapella,
yeah, what's happening? Went from the sewer to mansion, from ravioli to salmon. Now I'm just counting the cabbage. Really,
it just wasn't sitting the way I needed it to sit, and I felt like I was showing off cool tricks, which honestly I didn't even do myself. And the other part, it was kind of ruining the artistry behind it. So what I did is I actually just went ahead and chopped out quite a bit from this bass. So here's the original down here, and then here's my version up here. Obviously no ear candy. Now, a danger with doing heavy bass like this is it's easy to use wrong notes in the wrong places. So a great trick to avoid bad and out of tune 808 notes is I'll take a sound shifter plugin, pitch it up an octave, and actually duplicate that. So I basically have not just one octave, but two. That way I can then play against the instrumental and make sure that everything is nice and in key. And then once I'm done with my work, I'll go ahead and turn those off and...
yeah, what's happening? Went from the sewer to mansion, from ravioli.
So there's really it. That's how the song was written. That's how it was engineered, and that's how I actually even got to add a little bit of my own co-production on the record. So I encourage you to take all these processes and explore them with your own mixes and your own productions to see how you can level up your own music. If you found this video helpful, please check out the playlist below with all my other breakdowns and tutorials. And of course, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell notification for more tips. Let's make more hits together and see you next time.